Thanks for being on the podcast, Suzanne. I'm so excited to have you here. We were just talking about some things we have in common before we hit record, and I thought, let's go ahead and dive in because we've got a lot of things we want to cover. So let me just begin by having you tell my audience a little bit about yourself and your background.
Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm so happy to be here. I'm Suzanne Hanna. I'm a lifelong educator. I spent 25 years in
episode,
education.
I'm sitting down with Coach
90%
Suzanne
of that
Hanna
time was in
to
public
discuss
education.
anxiety,
And I began as an
alcohol,
English teacher, a high
and
school
teen
English
girls.
teacher. And
Suzanne
I
talks
moved
about
from
her
that
decision to
position
stop
really
drinking
quickly
and how she
to
made it her
a
mission
position at
to
a
help
central
girls feel
office where I was
heard,
actually a
more
program
comfortable in
director
their
for
own
English
skin,
language arts
and more
for
equipped to
all the
handle
middle and high
life's
schools in the
curveballs.
district. And it was a
Suzanne and I
district with
agree
70 plus
that girls
schools, so it was a big
deserve
job.
to be
I'm
heard
still not
and
quite sure how I got
supported.
it, but I did. And
speaking of being heard
I
and
did that,
supported,
and then
I just
after that,
created
I
a brand new
into
exclusive
administration in
podcast
school.
episode
So I
for
became
you
an assistant
moms
principal at a middle
called
school,
Speak Up
and then
with
moved
Confidence.
to a big high school, and then another big high school.
Whether it's
and my
asking your
last year
teen
in
to help out around the
education
house,
was,
negotiating a
as an
raise
assistant
at
middle
work,
school, which is
or
always
setting a
an
boundary with
interesting
family,
experience.
this
And,
episode is packed with practical
and
tips
I
to
am a
help
mother
you
of two
speak up
kids. I have two
confidently,
teenagers.
clearly,
My son's in
and
college, my
with
daughter's
compassion.
13. And I've
And
been
also
married for
included
24
is a
years.
guided
We live on a
meditation to
farm
help
in
you feel
North
more
Carolina
grounded
in
and
the
confident when you
foothills.
speak.
And our house
It's
was built
totally
in
free.
1770.
Click
So
on the
it's
link
quite
in the
historic.
episode
It's on the
description
National Historic
to
Register.
access
And
today.
we've got chickens and
Now,
lots of
onto
gardens
the show.
and two Australian shepherds. So just normal, fun family. Very lucky and blessed in that regard for sure. And right now, I'm excited because I opened a new business where I am a life coach for college and teen
To
girls.
have you here.
And so
We
I
were
have
just
taken
talking
my
about some
experience in
things we
public
have in
education
common
and
before
blended
we
it
hit
with
record.
certification
And
in
I thought,
affective liminal
let's go ahead and
psychology.
dive in because
So
we've got a lot of things we want to cover.
Anxiety,
So let me just begin by having
them a safe
you
space
tell my
because,
audience a little bit about
we all know
yourself
that
and
teens
your background.
thrive when they
Awesome.
have
Thanks,
strong
Jennifer. I'm so happy to
relationships
be
with
here. I'm
trusted
Suzanne
adults.
Hanna.
So that's what I offer
a
for the
lifelong
girls.
educator.
And I love
I've
the
spent
coaching
25
job. It's my
years
calling.
in
I love teenagers.
education. And 90% of that time
always
was in
just been
public education.
I'm a magnet for
and I
teenagers.
began as
connect
an
with
English
them.
teacher, a
I
high
think they're
school
the
English
most
teacher. And I
discerning
moved from that position
and
really
interesting
quickly
and
to
emotionally
a position at
available
a central
people
office where I
that
was
I know.
actually a program
And
director
I love
for
their
English
honesty,
language
and I
arts
love how they
for
can sniff
all the
out
middle
a
and high
fake
schools in the
any room.
district, and it was
They're
a
like little hound
district
dogs.
with 70
Yeah,
plus
they're
schools.
amazing.
So it was a
Yeah.
big job. I'm still not quite sure
And
how I
that's
got
one of the
it, but I did.
reasons,
And
there's many of the reasons
I did
why
that, and then
I wanted to have you
after
on
that, I
this
moved into
podcast because
administration
you
in
and I have
schools.
so
So I
much
became
in
an
common
assistant
with
principal
our
at a middle
background in
school,
education
and then moved
and
to a
our
big high school, and then another big high
passion
school.
for
And
helping
my last year in
teenagers.
education was
Of course, you
as an
directly
assistant
help the
principal at a middle
teenagers, and
school,
I've
which is
done that,
always
and
an
I still do
interesting
that in
experience.
the current, but I
And,
really also focus on the parents. And so
I am a mother of
I
two kids.
definitely
I
wanted
have
to
two
bring you
teenagers.
on because
My
you
son's
have
in
a
college,
scope
and
of
my daughter's
experience that
13.
I don't,
And I've been
that's
married for
working
24
in
years. We
middle
live on
school
a
and high
farm in
school.
North
So I have
Carolina
a
in the
background in
foothills,
education,
and
of course,
our house was
and
built
I
in
have teens
1770.
myself,
So it's
but
quite
you're coming
historic.
from
It's
the
on the
perspective
National
of
Historic Register,
working in
and we've got chickens and
public
lots of gardens
education
and two
with
Australian
this
shepherds.
demographic. So I
Just
knew you
normal,
would have a
fun
lot of really
family.
great things
Very
to
lucky
add
and blessed in
offer
that regard for
to
sure.
my audience.
And
so thank
right
you so
now,
much for
I'm
coming
excited because I
on.
opened a new
And
business
also,
where I am a life
I
coach
wonder
for college
if
and teen girls.
I'm sure there
And
are
so
people
I have
listening
taken
who
my
have never
experience in
heard
public
of,
education and blended
and you're
it
going to have
with
to remind me,
certification in effective liminal psychology. So I help
was that?
girls work through
It's
anxiety.
it's
with their
effective liminal
mindset,
psychology.
just giving them a safe
And
space.
so
because,
effective, like the
we
normal
all
word
know that
effective and
teens
liminal is a
thrive
word
when
that seems
they,
to have come
strong
around
relationships
in our
with
space
trusted adults. So
more
that's
now
what
than
I
I've ever
offer for
heard
the
it. It
girls,
means like
and I
when
love
you're
the
in
coaching
betwixt
job.
and
It's my
between.
calling. I
So
love
it's the
teenagers.
space where change tends to
It's
happen. It's
it's
when
always just been
when
I'm a
you're
magnet
when
for
you're
teenagers.
between
I
two big
connect with
spaces.
them.
That's when
I think
you're
they're the
the
most
most ripe for change and for understanding
discerning
who you are.
and
And so
interesting
the psychology
and
behind it is that
emotionally
it's really the
available
study of
people
human
that I know.
behavior
And
and
I
the
love
science
their
of self.
honesty, and I
And
love
so
how they
it's
can
helping
sniff
people
out a
understand
fake in any room.
how they feel
they're
and
like
that
little
emotions
hound
drive
dogs.
behavior.
Yeah, they're amazing.
So I really loved this because
And that's one of the reasons, or
in my
there's
experience,
many
I had
of the
so many
reasons why
girls
I wanted to
suffering
have
in
you
my
on
office.
this
And so many
podcast
girls
because
suffering in classrooms
you
that
and I
I've
have
visited,
so
and
much
in
in
the hallways
common
and
with
in the
our
cafeteria.
background in education
And I mean, Jennifer, I would
our
say 90%
passion
of the
for helping
like
teenagers.
health emergency
Of course,
calls I
you
would get to
directly help the
classrooms would be
teenagers, and
girls
I've done
having
that, and
panic
I
attacks.
still do that
And
in
I
the
would
current,
sit on
but
the
I
floor
really
with
also
so many
focus on
girls,
the parents. And
walk
so
around the school with them,
I definitely
help
wanted
calm
to
them
bring you
down,
on
and
because
it just
you have a
it
scope of
killed my
experience
soul
that I
to see
don't,
these kids
and that's
suffering.
working in
And girls would be
middle
in my
school and
office
high school.
just crumbling under
So
pressure.
I have a background
And
in
pressure not
education,
only
of
from,
course.
the school,
and I have
but from
teens
their
myself,
parents and from
but
society
you're coming from the
and from the
perspective
media.
of working
and their phones were
public
diminishing
education
all of
with
their
this demographic.
self-confidence.
So
And
I
the
knew
pressure
you
they
would
were
have a
putting on
lot of really
themselves
great
was
things
breaking my
to
heart.
add
And I
and
kept telling my
offer
colleagues,
to
like I remember
my
talking
audience.
to the
So
social
thank you
workers
so
and the
much for
counselors
coming
and
on.
just saying, guys,
And
we're not
also,
doing enough for these girls.
I
They're
wonder
suffering.
if
And I would have all
I'm
these
sure there
precious
are people
parents in
listening
my office,
who have
just
never
with
heard
boxes of tissue,
and you're going to have to
frustrated,
remind me,
doing all the right
liminal
things.
psychology.
Just
What
good
was that?
people doing all the
It's
right
under-
things, but just
it's
unable to
affective
connect
liminal
with their kid
psychology.
or unable
And
to
so
understand,
affective,
why
like the
she
normal
was
word
suffering
affective and
so
liminal
deeply with
is
such
a word that
debilitating
seems to have
anxiety.
come around
And parents
in
just
our
needed
space.
help. And I would, as I said, I
More now
talked to
than
my
I've ever heard
colleagues
it.
and
It
I'm like,
means
guys,
like when
we
you're
are
in
not
betwixt
serving
and
these
between.
kids.
So
And
it's the
and
space
I
where
felt
change tends to
this,
happen. It's when
I guess my knowing just knew
when
something
you're
was coming.
when you're
And
between
then
two big
when
spaces,
I learned about
that's when
affective
you're
liminal
the most ripe
psychology,
for
I thought
change and for
this can
understanding
give me
really
the
who you are.
certification that I
And
need
so the
to
psychology
be able to work
behind
with
it
kids
is that
one-on-one, and
it's
to be
really the
able
study
to have my own
of
business
human
and coach
behavior
girls one-on-one
and the
and to
science
help
of
them
self.
understand
And so it's helping
that their
people
behavior is driven by
understand
their emotions.
how
And
they
that
feel and that
we
emotions
can
drive
learn so much
behavior.
about our emotions.
So
I
there's something
really
as simple
loved
as
this
naming our
because
emotions.
I've and
In my
and that
experience, I had
so
many
many
girls
neuroplasticity
suffering
and
in my
through,
office.
And
so many
mindset
girls
shifts,
suffering
we
in
really
classrooms
have
that I've
control
visited and in the
of how we
hallways and in the
feel
cafeteria.
and how we behave.
And I mean,
And
Jennifer, I would say
at 48, I know that. I wish I'd known it when I was 15, right? And so that's why I
emergency
think
calls I would
it's
get to
wonderful to
classrooms
work with
would
girls
be
and help
girls
them
having panic
realize
attacks.
that the power
And
that
I
they
would
have.
sit on the
and
floor
the-
with
and
so
to
many
teach them,
girls,
help them learn
walk around the
self-compassion
school with
and to
them,
understand that
help
how they
calm
feel
them
is
down,
perfectly
and
normal.
it just
and
killed
and
my
it's just their
soul
brain
to see these kids
responding in a way
suffering.
that brains respond.
And girls would be in my
And so I
office
think
just crumbling under
Yeah.
pressure.
Normalizing
And pressure not
is
only
a big
from
part.
the school, but from their
There's
parents
nothing
and
wrong
from
with you, and
society and
normalizing it
from
and
the
then
media.
understanding
And
it
their
and then having a
phones
plan
were
for how to address it so that
diminishing
it's not
all of their
Yes.
self-confidence.
taking your peace
And the
impacting
pressure
your
they were
quality
putting on
of life.
themselves was breaking
Yeah,
my heart.
absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
kept
And
telling
just
my
out of
colleagues, like I
curiosity,
remember
when you
talking to the
were
social
in the
workers and the
educational
counselors
setting,
and just saying,
you
guys,
mentioned that it
we're
was
not doing enough
mostly
for these girls. They're
Why do you
suffering.
think that
And I would
is?
have all these precious parents in my office, just
I've really
with
thought
boxes
about
of
that,
tissue,
having a teenage son.
frustrated,
And I
doing
think
all the right things.
girls,
Just good people
like I was saying
doing
earlier,
all the right
teenagers
things, but just
in
unable to connect with
particular
their
have a
kid
discernment
or
that others
unable
don't,
to
but especially
understand,
teenage girls.
why she was
And they
suffering
have
so
this
deeply with such
level
debilitating
of
anxiety.
I don't know if it's like
And
where they are
parents just needed
developmentally,
help.
but they're
And I would, as I
emotional.
said, I'd talk to my colleagues.
They're
and I'm
emotionally
like, guys,
charged.
we are
And
not
so I
serving
think
these
that
kids.
that
And
emotional
and
charge
I felt
is
this,
somehow
I guess my knowing just
like
knew something was coming. And then
explicitly,
when I learned
I
about
guess,
affective liminal
abused by
psychology,
social
I
media.
thought this
It's
can
like
give me
it's
the
almost like
certification that I need
preys
to be
on
able to
this,
work with kids one-on-one and to
it
be
preys
able
on
to
where they are
have my own
developmentally,
business
if
and
that makes
coach
any
girls
sense. I just feel like
one-on-one
they're just
and to help them understand
and I feel like it's
that
created
their
to do that,
behavior
so
is
that makes
driven
me
by
really
their
angry.
emotions.
But I feel like that
and
the
that
girls
we can learn so much
are
about our
feeling
emotions, just through something as simple
the
as naming our
comparison,
emotions.
and they're feeling
And that,
the
through
constant
neuroplasticity
judgment of
and
themselves
through,
against others and against
mindset shifts, we really
a
have
sense of
control
perfectionism, and
of how
we
we
know
feel
that
and how we
perfection
behave.
is not possible. Being
And
perfect is
I,
not possible.
at 48, I know
And,
that. I wish I'd known it when
you know,
I was
I've
15, right?
worked with
And so
girls and
that's why
discussing with them the
I think
difference between
it's
like
wonderful to work
perfectionism
with girls and help them
excellence.
realize
And like
the
let's
power
talk,
that they
and
have.
excellence is so
And
different. Like
and
let's
to teach
define
them,
how you
help
see
them learn
excellence.
self-compassion
And
to understand that how they feel is perfectly normal.
Perfectionism's like this
And
pie in the sky
and it's just
thing.
their brain
So
responding
I
in a
think,
way that brains respond.
I
And
think
so I
that's why
think-
girls are specifically more
Normalizing
affected
it
by
is a
it. I
big
think
part
their
of it.
emotionality.
There's
is that a word,
nothing
emotionality?
wrong
I
with
think I may have
you,
made that up,
and
but we'll see.
normalizing it and then
It worked.
understanding
It
it
worked.
and
There
then
you go.
having a plan for how to address it so that it's not
Yes.
taking
So you're
your
helping
peace
them
and
develop
impacting your quality of
coping
life.
strategies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yes,
This is,
Yeah.
and just out
absolutely.
of curiosity,
kind of where I'd
when
like
you
to go with
were
this
in the
conversation
educational
is
setting,
there are
you
healthy
mentioned that it
coping
was mostly
strategies and there
girls.
are
Why do you
coping
think that
strategies we
is?
use that are actually life detracting.
Um,
So
I really
before
thought
we
about
get
that,
into
having a
the
teenage
unhealthy
son.
coping strategies,
And I
would you
think
just share with us a little bit about
girls,
what
like
you
I was saying
found to
earlier,
be helpful for
teenagers
these girls
in
who are feeling
particular
anxious
have a
in
discernment that
managing
others don't, but
that
especially
anxiety.
teenage girls. And
Sure,
they have
this
I feel like
level of
girls
know if
really
it's like where they are
appreciate
developmentally, but
knowing
their
the science behind anxiety.
they're
And
emotionally
so I have
charged.
like this real
And
simple
so I
model where
think
like I hold up my hand
emotional
and
charge
your
is
brainstem's here, your
somehow,
limbic system, and your frontal lobe. And
like,
I explain to girls, when
explicitly,
your bodies
I guess,
respond as they would
abused
have
by
back when
social
we were
media.
cave women to
It's
a
like, it's
saber-toothed
almost like
tiger.
it's
Our bodies
it
produce the chemicals,
preys
the fight or
on this,
flight, and our brains literally go offline.
it
We flip
preys
our
on where
lid.
they
And
are
so
developmentally,
the part
if
of your
that
brain
makes
that
any
thinks
sense.
about
I just feel
thinking
like
is
they're
not
just,
thinking about thinking.
and
And
I
the
feel like
parts of your
it's
brain
created
that
to do
make
that,
you
so that
feel
makes me really angry.
anxiety, like
But
your
I feel
heart
like that the
racing,
girls
feeling short
are
of breath,
feeling
hands feeling tingly.
the comparison,
There's a science
and they're
behind why your
feeling
body
the,
responds that way and
the
why your nervous
constant
system does.
judgment
and to
of
learn
themselves
how,
against
to
others
hack
and
that with
against
something as simple as breathing
a sense of
techniques with,
perfectionism. And we,
box
we
breathing,
know
or, I think
that
breathing techniques,
perfectionism is
girls
not
are always
possible.
like,
Being
really,
perfect is not
Suzanne? I'm like, no,
possible.
really.
And
they really work. And so I have to
I've
prove it to them. We have to
worked
practice.
with girls and
and
discussing with them
yeah,
the
that's why I love
difference
teenage
between
girls, because they're so
perfectionism
skeptical. They're
and
like,
excellence.
really?
And like, let's talk. Yeah,
and so when you
excellence
can
is so
hack your
different.
nervous
Let's
system and
define
calm yourself
how
down,
you
your
see
brain goes
excellence.
back online,
Yeah.
and your brain's like this happy
because
little brain again. And so
perfectionism
working
like
through the
this pie
science
in the
helps
sky
them
thing.
become more
So
curious
I think,
about their future reactions.
I think
And
that's
so
why
I like
girls
to
are
give girls,
specifically more
I call it not homework,
affected
because
by
it's not
it. I
homework,
think their
but it is an
emotionality,
assignment to
is
become
that word,
more
emotionality? I think
curious
I may have
about
made that up. But we'll see.
how
me.
when
It
you
worked.
feel
It
your
worked.
anxiety rise, where does it land in your body? And I explained to
So
them
you're
like mine
helping
lands
them
in my
develop
throat. It's so weird. It's like I've been
coping,
yelling at like a
strategies.
concert
And
or a game.
this is
like some
kind of
something
where I'd like to
contentious
go
game.
with
I've been
this
screaming for 3
conversation
hours. It's the
is
strangest
there
feeling. And
are
so
healthy
they
coping
are to
strategies
pay attention
and
to where
there
it lands.
are
And
coping
then,
strategies we
and
use
then
that are
wherever
actually
that
life
lands is like your
detracting.
body's signal
So
to you.
before we get
And so
into the
my
unhealthy
goal is
coping
for
strategies,
girls to feel more in touch
would you just
with
share
their
with
bodies,
us a
because
little
our
bit
bodies
about
are our
what
natural alarm
you found to be
systems.
helpful for
And
these
we
girls
can calm
who are
ourselves
feeling
down
anxious
through
in
breathing. We
managing
can tell our nervous
that
systems
anxiety?
it's okay, and our brain can
Sure,
get back online where we
I
can
feel
think
like
more logically, and we
the girls
cannot
really
have such
appreciate
erratic responses.
knowing the
Because I
science
know
behind
girls
anxiety.
get really frustrated
And
with
so
their
I
erratic
have
responses.
like this real simple model where like I hold up
living
my
with
hand,
teenagers myself, it's hard as a
and
parent
your
when they
brainstem's
have erratic
here and your limbic
responses, and as
system
a
and your
parent,
frontal lobe. And I explain to girls, when
we're from the
your
moment
bodies
we
respond as they would
get
have
pregnant
back
with
when
our
we were
kids, we're
cave
carrying
women
these
to a
humans, we
saber-toothed
keep them
tiger.
alive, we
Our
love them,
bodies
we
produce the
protect them,
chemicals,
and then
the
all of
fight
a
or
sudden
flight,
they
and our
want to be
brains literally go
individuals,
offline.
and
We
they
flip our lid.
individuate
And
and
so
push themselves
the part of
away,
your
and they
brain that
become
thinks about
independent, and then they
thinking is
start
not
yelling
thinking
at
about
us.
thinking.
And it's just
And
this whole
the
weird
parts of your brain
situation,
that make
and
you
it's
feel
hard as a parent
anxiety,
to
like
not
your
meet
heart racing,
your daughter's
feeling
emotional
short of
state.
breath, your
Yes.
hands
And so,
feeling tingly. There's a
and I think-
science behind
and girls,
why
when
your
they
body
become
responds
aware
that
of that
way and
heightened
why your
emotional
nervous system
state,
does.
they
And to
realize
learn how
that they have
to hack
they
that with
have the
something
option,
as
they
simple
have
as
the
breathing
responsibility,
techniques,
which
with
is not a scary
box
word. It's
breathing
their
or,
ability
I think
to
breathing
respond.
techniques.
You
Girls
have
are
the
always
ability
like,
to
really,
respond
Suzanne?
to
I'm
this
like,
by
no,
calming
really.
yourself
They
down
really work.
and
so I have to,
taking
like,
control
prove
of
it to them.
yourself.
We have to practice.
You can
and,
do this. You have
yeah,
this
that's
power.
why I love teenage
And I
girls,
think
because they're so skeptical.
That's
They're
like the
like,
number one thing I want girls to understand is that you
and so
do
you
have
can
the power
hack
within
your nervous
yourself
system and
to
calm yourself
calm
down.
yourself
Your brain goes
and
back
to get your brain
online,
working
and your
again.
brain's like this happy little
Yeah,
brain again.
and basically
And
what
so
I'm hearing
working
from you
through the
is
science
it's
helps them
educating,
become
so
more
understanding
curious
what's going
about
on,
their future reactions.
awareness of how
And so
it
I
lands
like
for
to
you
give girls,
specifically, and then
I call it not
strategizing
homework
on
because it's
how
not
to
homework,
proactively
but it is an
care for
assignment
yourself
to become
so that it
more
doesn't sweep
curious
you
about
away in those moments.
how when you feel
Yes,
your
absolutely.
anxiety
And the
rise,
awareness is
where
the
does
key.
it land in your
and,
body?
and naming the
And
emotion
I explained to
and
them like
understanding
mine
it
lands in
and
my
accepting
throat.
it and
It's
saying,
so weird. It's like
hey,
I've been
anxiety,
yelling
there you
at
are.
like a concert
You're not
or
the
a game,
beast I thought you were.
like some
you
some big
are my
contentious
body
game. I've been
actually
screaming
trying
for
to
3
take care of
hours. It's the
itself.
strangest
Because if
feeling.
I were
And
still a
so
cave woman,
they
this
are to pay
response would
attention
help
to
me
where
get
it
away from the
lands.
saber-toothed tiger.
And then,
So I mean,
and then
evolutionarily
wherever
it's
that
worked for
lands
us,
is
right?
like your
And so
body's
I feel
signal
like
to
our
you.
brain, your brain's
So,
trying to help you.
My
And
goal
so
is
when you
for
say,
girls to
all right,
feel more
girl,
in touch
I hear you, I
with
see
their
you.
bodies,
I'm
because
gonna
our
calm you
bodies
down,
are
and we're
our
going to figure this
natural
out
alarm
together. So it's
systems.
almost like
And
teaching
we
the
can
girls
calm
the
ourselves
parts of
down
themselves
through breathing.
that
We
work
can tell our
together.
nervous
And
systems
you can
it's okay,
love
and our
your
brain can
anxiety.
get back
No,
online.
it sounds
so we can
crazy
think
at
more
first,
logically,
but you can embrace
and
it.
we cannot have
And
such
I think girls
erratic
that have
responses.
heightened anxiety
Because I know
are our
girls
sensitive
get really
girls,
frustrated with
and
their
our
erratic
sensitive girls
responses.
are the ones that change the world. They're
Living
the
with
ones
teenagers
that
myself, it's
can-
hard as a
they're
parent when they have
empaths,
erratic responses,
they,
and as
they
a parent,
love hard, and
we're
they're loyal, and they're
from the moment
brilliant,
we
and they
get
and they're
pregnant
the
with our
ones
kids, we're carrying
that,
these humans.
to me,
We keep them
they're
alive.
what
We
we've been
love them.
waiting
We
for.
protect them.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
they want to
You
be
and I
individuals,
completely
and
agree
they
on that. And
individuate
we're
and
on the
push
same
themselves
page with
away, and they
that.
become independent, and then
And
they start yelling at us.
really the
And it's
point
just
is
this
to be able
whole weird
foster and
situation,
hone in
and
that
it's hard
special
as a
gift
parent
that
to
they
not
have
meet
so that the
your
challenging
daughter's,
parts of it
you know,
don't
emotional state.
undermine their
Yes.
ability
And so,
to function
and I
effectively
think,
and
and
do
girls,
what
when they
they
become
want to do
aware of that
ultimately
heightened
in this
emotional
world
state,
and in their
they
life.
realize that
And
they have the option,
I
they
love
have
how
the
you're explaining
responsibility,
how all of
which
this
is not a
is
scary word. It's their
really
ability
just
to
creating
respond.
space
You have the
for
ability
them
to respond to this
be
by
honest
calming
with
yourself
it and not
down
fight
and taking
against
control
it,
of yourself.
because
You
that
can
can
do this. You
essentially
have
that
this
can
power.
cause even more
And I think that's
levels of
such a
anxiety and
that's like
stress
the
and
number one
tension
thing
and
I
make it
want
even
girls to
worse.
understand is that you do
Whereas
have the
we
power within
put our arm
yourself
around
to
it and walk
calm yourself
alongside it and
and
say,
to get
hey,
your
this
brain
is a
working
part of
again.
me. I see you there.
Yeah.
And
And basically
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
care for
hearing
you
from
through
you
this.
is it's
And we're
educating.
partners.
So understanding what's
Right. We
going
live
on.
together.
awareness of how
Roomies.
it lands for
You're
you
my roomie that I
specifically,
didn't
and then
ask about.
strategizing
You're here.
on how to
You know us.
proactively care for yourself so that it doesn't sweep
Yeah.
you away
So
in those moments.
absolutely fantastic. And
Yes,
so
absolutely.
another one
And
of
the
the things, the
awareness
reasons
is
why
the
I wanted to
key.
bring you on this
And
podcast,
naming
it
the
revolves
emotion and
around
understanding it and
finding
accepting
coping
it and
mechanisms
saying,
that aren't
"Hey,
exactly
anxiety, there
healthy.
you are.
One of
You're
which
not the
is
beast I thought you
alcohol.
were. You
And
are my
I know
body
personally
actually
from my
trying to take care of
perspective,
itself. Because
alcohol
if
is
I were
something
still a
that
cave woman,
I have
this
turned to in
response
the
would help
past
me
when
get
I've
away
been
from the
feeling
saber-toothed
anxious
tiger. So I mean,
to
it's,
like quell the
evolutionarily, it's worked
anxiety.
for us,
And
right? And so I feel like
fortunately,
our
I'm
brain
not really
your
in the
brain's
place where I'm
trying to
doing that
help you.
anymore.
And
And
so
I
when you
know,
say, "All right, girl,
especially for the
I hear you, I
younger
see you. I'm
generation,
going to calm you down,
as they're
and
still
we're going to figure this out
learning
together." So it's
about
almost like
themselves,
teaching the
and
girls
especially
the
at that
parts of
age,
themselves
high school, and I
that
know you
work
work
together,
closely with college
and
students, but
you
that
can love
same
your anxiety.
adolescent,
No, it
I'm
sounds
still
crazy at
figuring out who
first,
I am
but you can embrace
stage.
it.
It can be really
And I think
tempting
girls that
to
have
just,
heightened
hey, you know what, I'm
anxiety
feeling
are our
anxious. I'm going to go to
sensitive
this
girls,
party and I'm going
and our
to
sensitive girls are the
drink
ones that
alcohol
change the
and
world.
to
They're the
excess.
ones that can.
And
They're empaths.
we've
They
connected
they
on
they love
your
hard,
history
and
of
they're
becoming
loyal,
sober,
and they're
and
brilliant,
that's another
and
part of the layer of
and
it that I
they're the
wanted to bring on.
ones
So
that, to
if we
me,
could just shift
they're
a
what
little
we've
bit
been waiting
into
for.
the context
Yes.
of
And
alcohol use,
You and I
and
completely agree on
if
that.
you wouldn't mind
and we're
just
on the
sharing a
same
little bit
page
about
with
your
that.
experience with it, and
And
we can talk a little bit about how
really,
that
the
could apply
point
to
is to be
parents
able
and
to
also
foster
teenagers.
and hone in
Oh,
that
yes,
special
certainly.
gift that they have.
I love to talk
so
about
that
it. I
the
feel like that
challenging parts of
because
it
I
don't
bring my presence
undermine
is
their
no shame
ability
and no
to
judgment when it comes to
function
conversations
effectively
around
and
alcohol
do what
and
they
any
want to
substance
do
use.
ultimately in
I
this
think
world
that's
and in their
part
life.
of the reason kids
And
suffer is because of the shame
I love
that's
how you're
connected with it,
explaining
and the reason
how
why they
all
don't
of
communicate
this
with their
is
parents and other adults, and
really
they don't
just
seek help
creating a
when they
space
need it,
for them
because we have a
to
culture that shames
be
people,
honest
and
with it and
it's
not
unfortunate.
fight against it.
But so I have
Because
chosen to
that
stop
can
drinking. I
essentially
have
that
been
can cause even
alcohol
more
free for over
levels
2
of
years now,
anxiety
and
and stress
it's
and
been wonderful.
tension
It's
and
one of the
make it
best
even
decisions I've ever
worse.
made for myself as an
Whereas
adult.
we put
And
our arm around it
I
and
am
walk
not an
alongside
alcoholic.
it and say, hey, this is a part of
I've
me.
never
I
had a
see you
DUI. I've
there.
never lost a
And I'm
job.
also
I've never
going to
had
care
a
for you through
relationship
this.
end or have issues
And
because of
we're
alcohol.
partners.
So, when you tell
Right.
people
We
you
live
stop
together.
drinking, they automatically assume
We're
that,
roomies.
they
You're my roomie
picture
that I
like somebody
asked
on
for.
the street corner with
You're
a paper
here.
bag, which is so sad. Because number one, the person on the street corner with a paper bag
Yeah.
doesn't want to be there
So,
either, right? Like,
Absolutely
where is our
fantastic. And so
compassion?
another
But
one of the
also,
things, the reasons why I wanted to bring you
there's
on
an
this
automatic
podcast,
shame response
it
to
revolves
it. And
around
so I grew up with a
finding
normal
coping
family.
mechanisms
Was an
that
only
aren't
child to
exactly
two
healthy.
good time, fun
One of
parents.
which
My parents
is
were always the
alcohol.
first people on the dance
And
floor.
I know
Super
personally
fun.
from my
My mom loved
perspective,
wine,
alcohol is
or still
something
loves
that
wine. My dad drinks
I
beer.
have
Like,
turned
that's
to in the
just
past
their
when I've been
culture.
feeling anxious
Drinking was
to
just something that was
quell
fun.
the
And so,
anxiety.
I
And
went.
fortunately, I'm not
I
really at the place where I'm doing that
I never
anymore.
thrown
And
up
I
from
know,
drinking in my whole
especially
life.
for the
It's so interesting.
younger
And so
generation,
I went to
as they're
college
still
and had fun. I was in
learning
college in the
about
90s, where
themselves,
it was just like
and
everybody
especially
drank and
at
had
that
fun.
age,
And then
high
where I
school,
went
and I
to
know you
graduate
work
school
mostly
was
with
another
college
fun,
students, but that
school
same
where, big football
adolescent,
team
I'm
and
still figuring out who
tailgating
I
and
am
just
stage.
fun. And
It
so
can be really
when I was
tempting.
a
To
young
just,
teacher,
hey, you know
I
what,
had a
I'm
group
feeling
of
anxious. I'm going to go to this
teachers that
party
we
and
would
I'm
go out
going
with
to
after, the Friday
drink
night football
alcohol
games, or
and
maybe like after a
to
Thursday or
excess.
whatever, and we'd go to a bar and have a few drinks and just
We've
nothing.
connected on
Didn't question
your
it, just kept
history
living.
of becoming sober,
High achieving person,
and
always,
that's another
had
part
to,
of the
I'm always
layer
one
of
of
it
those
that I
people who had to
wanted
get
to
straight
bring
A's,
on.
right?
So
And so
if we
I
could
fought
just
the
shift a
perfectionism.
little bit
And so
into the
I realized
context of
moving into like
alcohol
my 20s
use,
and 30s,
and
when I had no
if you
issue
wouldn't
with
mind
it.
just sharing a little
But
bit
I
about
was
your
recognizing
experience with
that I
it,
had
and then we can
anxiety.
talk a little bit about how that could apply
Because
to
I'm so
parents and
driven,
also
and
teenagers.
I was very
yes,
anxious.
certainly.
And so moving
I love
into
to
like
talk
my
about
later
it. I feel
30s,
like that,
I believe
because I bring
a lot of there was
my
a confluence
presence
of a
is
lot
no
of
shame
things,
and no
I think one of
judgment when it
those
comes to
is,
conversations around
working with
alcohol
perimenopause
and
and
any
hormone
substance
changes.
use.
And
I think
being a high
that's
school
part of
assistant
the reason
principal
kids
with two
suffer is
children,
because of the
renovating,
shame that's
an
connected
18th
with
century
it, and the reason
farmhouse,
why they don't
and
communicate with their parents
running
and other
10Ks,
adults,
and
they
what
don't
else am I
seek
supposed
help
to do, right? Like I
when
was
they
like,
need
oh,
it, because we
I'm
have
going
a
to
culture
can
that shames burritos this
people, and
weekend.
it's-
Like I
it's
was
unfortunate.
doing too much. And so
I have
alcohol was
chosen
my
to stop
friend.
drinking. I have
And
been
so when I had a hard day
alcohol
at
free
school
for over 2 years
with,
now, and it's been
everything that
wonderful.
would
It's one of
happen.
the best
I mean,
decisions I've ever
it's
made for
crazy
myself
how
as an
just
adult.
one day in the life of
And,
an assistant
and
principal
I am not
can
an
be.
alcoholic.
Like, that's a whole other podcast.
I've never had.
I'll tell you some of the stories.
I've
And so-
job. I've never had a relationship end or have issues
I would
because
come
of
home
alcohol.
and I would
so
need to like
you know, when
come
you tell people
down
you
for
stop
that
drinking, they
experience. When having
automatically
been under,
assume that
from things like being under fluorescent
they
lights
picture
all
like
day
somebody
and, with
on the
2,200
street corner with a
humans
paper bag,
and
which is so
teenagers,
sad.
no doubt.
Because number
And
one,
so,
the person on the street corner
wine
with a
was
paper
the
bag
thing.
doesn't
I would
want to be
come
there
in the
either,
house with my
right?
kids,
Like,
get them started with
where
homework,
is our
start dinner,
compassion?
and I would pour a glass
But
of wine.
also,
And it was just what I thought was
there's an
self-care.
automatic shame
And so,
response to it.
And I didn't
I grew up
know
with a
until I
normal
started
family. Was
reading
an
and paying
only child
attention.
to good time,
I
fun
remember
parents. My
reading
parents
somewhere
were
that
always
your
the
liver
first
needs a
people on the
break, that you should
dance
take.
floor.
People that drink
Super
should
fun,
and they
have
would
my
at least
mom loved
3
wine or still loves
consecutive
wine. My dad
non-drinking
drinks
days
beer.
a week
Like
in
that's
order for
just
your liver
their
to
culture.
rebound from drinking.
Was
And I was
just
like,
something that
okay,
was
cool,
fun.
that's
And
easy.
so,
I mean, I had 2 kids and breastfed 2 kids. And I didn't drink. Like I can do this.
I've never thrown up.
But let me tell you
my
that the
whole
first day,
life, it's
I
so
don't know if it was the
interesting.
first day, but
And
in
so
my memory of
I
this
went
is
to college.
when I told
and had
myself
fun.
I
I was in
couldn't drink,
college in the
I was
90s
so
where
mad.
it was just
I
like
felt
everybody
deprived.
drank and had fun.
And I was like,
then
wait a minute.
where I
I
went
do
to
everything
graduate
else right.
school
Why
was
can't I
another
have a
fun,
glass of Chardonnay?
school
Like,
where
that is my
big football
reward.
team
That is how I
and,
calm myself.
tailgating
That's going
and
to help me
just
sleep.
just fun.
It's going
And
to help me
so
feel better.
when I
The
was
whole mommy wine culture
a young
runs
teacher,
your
I had a
rampant,
group
right?
of
Like that's a big thing.
teachers that we would go
And
out with
so
after
I was,
the Friday
I
night
was
football
suffering
games or
from
maybe
what
like
I know
after
now
a
as
Thursday or
cognitive
whatever, and we'd go
dissonance,
to a
where
bar and have a few
my
drinks
conscious
and
brain
just
knew
nothing.
that alcohol
Didn't
was
question
I
it.
probably
Just
shouldn't
kept
be
living.
drinking.
You
But
know,
my
high
unconscious
achieving
brain was
person,
like,
always,
screw it,
had to,
Suzanne. Like you
I'm
had,
always
you
one of those
had a
people
hard
who had
day
straight
and
A's,
you
right?
do
And
everything
so
right, and who
I
cares?
fought
It's
perfectionism.
Chardonnay. Who cares?
And so
And so I
realized
had this
moving
battle
into
going
like
on
my
in
20s
head.
and 30s,
And so
when
I didn't
had
have
no issue with it.
but
But
I got frustrated
that
with
I had
alcohol.
anxiety.
My relationship with it started to
'Cause I'm
like
so
deteriorate
driven,
because
and
I was thinking about
very
it all the
anxious.
time.
And
And I
so
was like,
moving
why am
into
I
like my
thinking
later
about alcohol
30s,
when I
I
don't
believe
necessarily have a drinking
a lot
problem?
of, there was a confluence
And
of
so
a lot of things.
an
And I think
anxious
one of
brain
those
like
is,
mine went into
working
like
with
this
perimenopause and hormone
spiral with
changes.
that. And so
And
I came across
being a high
in
school
2018
assistant principal with 2
Annie Grace's
children,
The Alcohol Experiment.
renovating, an 18th
And
century
I was
farmhouse.
really
And, I mean,
interested and
running
intrigued by it because
10Ks.
the first
What else
part
am
of
I
it is
supposed to do,
nothing's wrong
right?
with
Like
you.
I was like,
and take a
I'm gonna
30-day
can
break.
tomatoes
And so it was
this
like a 30-day
weekend.
break.
Like,
And I was like, you know what, I want to do
doing
this
too
because it
much.
was like September,
so
the end of
alcohol
summer,
was
where I
my
had had
friend.
a month off
And
and I
so
had
when I had a
fun,
hard day at
vacation
school
and
with,
just
everything
overindulging on
that would
food
happen.
and wine.
I mean,
It's like at
it's
the end of
crazy
summer,
how
I wanted
just
like
one day
grilled
in the
chicken
life of
salads
of
and
an
water.
assistant
Like I felt
principal.
gross at the end of every summer.
That's a whole other
And so
podcast we'll have to have.
I was like, okay, 30-day break. And so I loved it.
And so
I didn't drink for 30 days, and every day
to like come
with-
down.
it was an app at that point. It was like one of her first iterations
from
of
things
this.
like being under
And every
fluorescent
day
lights all day, and
you
with
break
2,200
break down an
humans
unconscious
and
belief you have
teenagers,
about
no
alcohol.
doubt. And
To include,
wine was
alcohol
the thing
tastes
I would
good.
come in the house with my kids,
Alcohol
get them
helps me
started with
sleep.
homework, start dinner, and I
Alcohol
would pour a glass of
makes me
wine.
more social.
And it was just what I thought was self-care.
Alcohol
And so,
calms my anxiety.
And
all
I
these
didn't
things, and you
know
learn the
until I
science
started
behind it.
reading
And
and paying
so
attention.
what happens is it
I
slowly
remember
changes your
reading somewhere that your
unconscious
liver
beliefs
needs a
about
break
it.
that you should take.
And
People
so
that drink
during
should
this time,
have at least
my
3
anxiety
consecutive non-drinking days a week
I slept
in
like
order
a
for your
baby.
liver to
it was
rebound from
crazy.
drinking.
I was like,
And
what is this?
okay,
I
cool,
had
that's easy.
so
I
much
mean,
energy. I annoyed
I had
myself.
2 kids.
I was like, what is
breastfed 2
this?
kids.
And,
I drink. Like,
and
I
it was
can do
like my
this.
brain went back
But
online.
let me tell you that
Because I was
day,
suffering from
I
some
don't know
brain
if it was the
fog,
first day,
and
but
I
my
always
memory
been very
of
quick
this
on my
is
feet, and I
when
did
I
not
told
like
myself I
that
couldn't
my
drink,
brain wasn't working.
I was
That
so
was really
mad.
frustrating for me.
I felt deprived.
And so,
and I was like, wait a minute.
I loved
I
it.
do
And so at the
everything
end
else
of it,
right.
I was
Why
like,
can't I have a glass
wait
of
a
Chardonnay?
minute. Like this goes
that
against,
is my
all
reward.
like
That is
30
how
some
I
years of
calm
my life
myself.
when this
That's
was
gonna
supposed to
help
be a
me
fun
sleep.
thing.
It's
And,
gonna help me feel better.
And so
The whole mommy
I
wine
actually
culture runs
moderated
rampant,
for a
right?
while after that.
Like that's a big thing.
Because I was just kind of over it, and
And
I was like,
so
ugh, I don't
I
feel
was-
like it. And
I
I
was
gotten
suffering
out of
from
the
what I know
habit.
now is
But then the
cognitive
holidays
dissonance.
hit, and you
Where
start drinking
my
again with
conscious
family
brain
and blah,
knew
blah. And
that
so,
alcohol was, I probably
but I
shouldn't be
knew
drinking.
a fire was lit.
But my
inside.
unconscious
And I was
brain
like,
was like,
I'm gonna
screw
not
it,
drink
Suzanne.
tonight.
Like you've
And I
had,
remember
you
I was
had
like
a hard day,
quizzing
and
my
you do everything
family.
right,
I
and
was
who
like,
cares?
so,
It's
if I
Chardonnay.
stop
Who
drinking,
cares?
are you still gonna like
And
me?
so I had
And
this
they're like,
battle going on.
of course
in my
we are,
head.
but why would you
And
do
so
that? And I'm
I
like,
didn't
I don't know, that
have
there's something inside of me. And
a-
so
I
all
got
the like the
frustrated
thought
with
leaders that I
alcohol.
love,
My
like
relationship
Brene
with it
Brown,
started to like
Glennon Doyle,
deteriorate
like the
because
women that
I
I
was thinking
revere
about
and
it all the
read
time. And I was
are
like, why
all
am I thinking about
non-drinkers?
alcohol
And I
when I
started to
don't
think, there's
necessarily
something
have
to
a
this,
drinking
right?
problem?
And so then
And so
during the
an
pandemic, I
anxious
decided to
brain
take
like
another
mine
break.
went
So
into
I went like
this
70 some days without
spiral
drinking
with that.
during
And so
during
I came
COVID.
across
Right?
which was
Is-
2018.
I mean, what is that, right?
Annie
Like,
Grace's
yeah. And so
Alcohol
I
Experiment.
felt great, and so something
I
in
was
me
really
was like, "You're going to stop.
interested and intrigued
You're
by
going to
it
stop
because
one
the
day."
first part
And so I
of it
had
is
like the slow goodbye because it was like a lifestyle I had to let go of.
And so it was
And
like a
so I
30-day
had
break. And I
this
was like, you know what, I
amazing
want to do
morning,
this. Because it was like September,
I went
the end of
on
summer,
this vacation with my
had
husband.
a month off, and I'd had
on
fun,
our anniversary trip.
and vacation, and
Isle of
just
Palms in South Carolina,
overindulging on
beautiful
food
place.
and wine.
And I had
it's like
such
at the end
anxiety
of
that
summer, I
weekend.
wanted
Like it was like
grilled
this
chicken salads
burning,
and water.
just
I felt
panic
gross at
inside
the end of every summer.
and I had no reason
And
to be
so
anxious. I was with
I
my
was like,
favorite
okay,
person
30-day
on the
break.
planet.
And so
My kids were safe at my house with my dogs and my in-laws.
I didn't
Everything
drink
was
for 30
fine.
days, and every
I was
day,
dying inside. Went out on the beach one morning.
At that point,
Couldn't
it was like one
sleep.
of her first
Left my husband
iterations
because
of
I was
this.
like just
And
sleep
every day
because I'm rolling around like a crazy person. So
you
I
break
went on
down
the
an
beach and I was
unconscious
walking,
belief you have
and
about
I was
alcohol.
like, "What
To
is wrong with
include
me?
alcohol tastes
I am an
good.
anxious mess."
Alcohol
And
helps me
I
sleep.
don't know, Jennifer. It was the most
Alcohol
beautiful moment of my life.
makes me more
and
social.
The sun was coming up.
alcohol.
And I had this peace
calms my anxiety.
just land on
all
me.
these things.
And I thought,
you
you know,
learn the
Suzanne,
science behind
you
it.
never let
And
anybody
so
else down in your whole
what
life.
happens is it
You don't
slowly
let your husband down.
changes
You don't
your
let your kids down. You
unconscious
don't let your
beliefs about
students
it.
down, the teachers.
And so during
like
this
you
time,
work. Why do you
my
keep letting yourself
anxiety
down?
plummeted.
And I was like,
I slept
I'm
like a
not
baby.
anymore. I've got my own back.
It was crazy.
And
I was like, what
that
is
was
this?
it.
I had
And that was
so
over
much
2 years
energy,
ago.
I
And
annoyed
so I
myself.
just,
I was like,
it's
what
been
is
the
this?
like
And
the
it
strangest
was like
journey,
my
but most
brain went
beautiful
back
journey of
online.
my life. And so
Because I was suffering
I've
from
learned
some
how to
brain
actually
fog,
coach
and
people
I've always
through
been very quick on my
stopping
feet,
drinking
and I did
alcohol
not
through this whole
like
process.
that
I'm a certified This Naked Mind coach, which is,
for
you know,
me.
who knew?
And so
Yeah.
I loved it. And so at the end of it, I was like,
And
wait a minute.
it all
Like
really
this goes
starts
against,
with
you know,
curiosity
all like
around
30 some
things
years of
and
my life when
awareness.
this was
Yes.
supposed to be
When
a
you're
fun thing.
teaching your clients
And
that you work with on
and so
anxiety, it
I
works the
actually,
same thing,
moderated
same
for a
way
while
with
after that.
everything.
Because I was just
It's
kind of
having
over it, and I
this
was like, oh, I don't feel like it,
open-minded
and I,
awareness of
gotten out of the
an
habit.
evaluation.
But then the holidays
Self-evaluation
hit,
is how
and
is
you know,
this
you start drinking
impacting
again
my
with
life?
family, and blah
Is
blah
this
blah.
what
And
I
so,
want to continue doing?
but
And
I knew
Yes.
a fire
the
was
thing
lit inside.
too that you
And I
brought
was
up
like,
is that
I'm
discomfort
gonna
that
not
came
drink
with
one
the
day.
change.
And I remember I was
Initially.
Yes.
quizzing my
Even though it
family.
was something you
I
were
was
doing
like,
on
so,
purpose and you
if I
wanted,
stop drinking, are you
there
still
was
gonna
like
love me?
alarms
And they're
going
like,
off. Like,
Of course we are, but
and
why would you
same
do
thing
that?
with
And
the
I'm like, I don't know,
high-achieving
but there's something inside of me.
perfectionistic,
And
very,
so all the thought leaders that I
motivated,
love, like
the
Brene
one
Brown,
who does it, especially
Glennon
women who are
Doyle,
the
like the women
nurturers
that
and
I
do it all,
revere
take
and
care of the
read
house and the kids and
are
everything.
all non-drinkers.
I deserve
And I
this
started to
glass of
think,
wine.
there's
I
like
worked
2
hard,
right?
and I need
And so
this.
then during the
And
pandemic,
then
I
even
decided
if
to
you're
take another
consciously
break.
deciding,
So I went like
this is
70
not
some
serving
days
me,
without
I'm just
drinking
gonna, give it a break.
during
You
COVID.
still have that voice
Right?
in
Which
your
is
head.
just,
Gosh,
what is
what,
that, right?
what the
Like,
heck do
yeah,
I
and
get
so
if I don't
I
get
felt
this?
great.
Like,
And so
I deserve
something
it.
in me was like,
Right.
you're going
Yes.
to stop.
And to be
You're
able
gonna
to
stop one day.
experience
And so I had like this
witness that
slow goodbye
discomfort
because it was like a
with
lifestyle I had to
curiosity
let
and
go of.
compassion,
And
and
so I had this
continue
amazing
forward,
morning.
even though you know that
I went
discomfort is there
on
and
this
it's
vacation
pushing
with my
against,
husband
right?
on our anniversary trip,
willingness of the
and we were
desire
on
to change.
Isle Palms in South Carolina. Beautiful
Right. And I
place.
think I
And
had to
I had such anxiety that weekend.
come to
Like
terms
it
with
was
that
like this
part of me
burning,
that
just
she
panic inside of
thought
me, and I had no reason to be
the
anxious. I was
drinker
with
in me
my
thought
favorite
she was
person on
taking
the
care of
planet.
me.
My kids were safe at
She
my house
thought that
with my
part of
dogs
me
and
was
my
like, you know,
in-laws.
Suzanne, you have
Everything
worked
was
hard. This is
fine.
your boundary.
I
This
was
is
dying
you come
inside.
home, so now you
Went
can
out on
be
the
a
beach one
mom
morning
and not be
couldn't
an
sleep.
assistant
Left
principal.
my husband
You
because I
know,
was like,
now
just
you can
sleep
relax.
because I was
It's like
rolling
now you
around
can
like
go
a
on
crazy
vacation.
person.
You're on
So
vacation now.
I
It's
went
not
on the
vacation
beach
until
and
you
I
pour
was
your first
walking,
drink, right?
and
And
I
so,
was like,
yeah, it was like this
what
part of
is
me
wrong
was
with
she
me?
was
I
protecting
am
me and
I
doing
am an
what she
anxious
knew
mess.
that she
And
thought was
I
best
don't
for me.
know, Jennifer, it was
And
the most
so,
beautiful moment of
and
my
I
life.
think a lot
And
of people
the
when they
sun was
first
coming up,
like stop drinking,
and I
they'll
had this
name
peace just land on
the
me.
craving
And I
or the
thought, you know,
drinker. Like they'll
Suzanne,
name her like the
you never
wine
let
witch,
anybody
or
else
like
down in your whole life.
like because you name
You
that
don't
other
let your
part. And
husband
so
down. You don't let your kids down.
I
You
never
don't let your
liked
students
that
down,
because
the teachers. Like
because
you,
I
you
didn't think it was a
work,
bad
work.
thing.
Why do you
Like
keep letting yourself
I
down?
didn't know what I didn't know.
And I was like,
you know, even
I'm
as like
not
an
anymore.
educated person, I
I've got
didn't
my
know.
own back.
So it's very interesting how that
And
works.
that was
But
it. And that was
so
over 2 years ago. And so
accepting
I
that
just,
that
it's
girl
been
inside of me was
like
trying
the
to calm my
strangest
anxiety
journey,
and
but
learning
most
that
beautiful journey of my life.
alcohol
And
makes
so
your body create
I've
crazy
learned how to
levels
actually
of
coach
cortisol,
people through
which is the stress
stopping
hormone.
drinking
And so,
alcohol
but that
through this whole
doesn't happen
process. I'm
until
a certified This
hours
Naked
after
Mind
you've
coach, which is,
consumed
you know,
alcohol.
who knew?
So alcohol is
Yeah.
a depressant, but your
Incredible.
brain's always searching for
And
homeostasis. Like your brain
it all
wants
really
to be
starts with
balanced.
curiosity
And
around
alcohol is the
things
depressant.
and
Well,
awareness.
it's a depressant
Just
and
like
a
what you're
stimulant.
teaching your
It's
clients
all the way
that you
around. It's not a
work
good thing,
with
but
on
your brain
anxiety, it
responds
works
and
the
produces
same
like
thing.
dynorphin,
Same way with
which is this
everything.
chemical. It's like
It's
actually a
having this
peptide that has reactions in your
open-minded
body, and then
awareness of
and then
an
cortisol is produced
evaluation,
later. So
self-evaluation.
that's why,
is
like, if
how
you
is
wake
this
up at 3 in the
impacting
morning
my
after
life?
drinking, you
Is
have to go
this
to the
what I want
bathroom,
to
and then your
continue
mind
doing?
just is in
And
overdrive.
Yes.
And it's because
the
your
thing
body is
too that you
responding
brought
to the
up is
depressant
that
with the
discomfort
stimulant.
that came
Just
with
for
the
that,
change
because it
initially.
wants the balance. And
Even
so,
though it was something you were
so
doing on
the
purpose
next
and
day
you wanted,
anxiety
there was like
is real.
alarms going
Like a
enough.
hangover
Like,
with anxiety is a
and
real
same
thing.
thing
And I
with the
never
high
had like
achieving
debilitating hangovers because I didn't drink enough
very
of that. So I had, when I did
motivated,
drink, I'd have like micro
the one who
hangovers,
does it,
right? So it was
especially
like this
women who
little,
are the
it was just
nurturers and
enough
do
where I
it
was
all, take care
tired
of the house
and
and
where
the
I
kids
just,
and everything.
and it would just
I
amp my anxiety
deserve
up
this
just a little
glass
bit,
of
but I didn't
wine. I worked
understand
hard,
that it was the
and I
alcohol that
need
was
this
causing
break.
that. Yeah,
And
and
then
so
even
like
if
you
you're
said, the
consciously
curiosity
deciding,
around it, the awareness,
this is
and
not
the
serving me, I'm just
and
going to,
approaching it with no
give it a
shame.
break. You still have that voice in your
Yeah,
head. Well,
That's
gosh,
really
but
what it is.
what the heck do I get
and
if I
this
don't
is
get
how
this? Like, I
my
deserve
listeners, if they're listening
Right.
and they're
Yes.
nodding their head,
and to be able to
totally relate to all of
experience
this.
and witness that
And,
discomfort
of course,
with
this
curiosity
is a
and
podcast
compassion
with parents
and
of
continue
teenagers,
forward,
but the thread
even though
does
you know that
interweave
discomfort is
between
there and it's
Yes.
pushing
parental
against,
behavior and
right?
teen
The
behavior.
Yes.
So if
willingness of
teenagers
the
are
desire
raised
to
in a
change.
family where drinking is normalized,
Right. And I think
and again,
I
there's
had
no
to
judgment. I'm not saying that
come
drinking
to
is
terms
bad.
with that
You can't
part of
drink. If you
me
drink,
that
you're bad.
she
But what I'm saying is
thought
that
to be
the
aware
drinker
of
in me thought
if
she was
you are
taking care of
drinking,
me.
the impact it's having on
She
you,
thought that part of
and
me
then
was
also
like,
the
Suzanne,
impact
you
it's
have
having
worked
on your
hard. This is your
kids.
boundary. This is,
So to
you come
speak to
home, so now
that
you can be a
with the
mom
clients you work
and not
with,
be an assistant principal.
does
You
this
know, now
come
you
up?
can relax.
Alcohol
It's like now
use,
you
I
can
can
go on
imagine it
vacation. You're
does,
on vacation
especially in
now. It's not
college.
vacation until you pour your first
Tell
drink,
me a
right?
little
And
bit
so,
more about
yeah, it was like this
how
part of me was
the
what she was
conversations around that
protecting
go with
me
the
and doing
teen
what
girls
she
that you
knew
work with.
that she thought was
Yes,
best for me.
it does come
And
up.
so,
And
I think
with
a lot
college
of
drinking,
people
it's
when they
binge drinking.
first like stop
And
drinking,
it's
they'll
not,
name
they're not sitting around at a wine bar
the
having a glass of
craving or the
Chardonnay.
drinker.
I mean,
Like
they're
name her
carrying
like
those
the wine
stupid board
witch,
things,
or like,
and I can't.
like because you
I
name
can't
that
with
other
that.
part.
I tell them, I'm like, I'm embarrassed to
never
even say that word.
liked
I'm not
that.
saying
I
it
know,
because
and I'm so
we're
proud.
not talking about.
I didn't think it
but
was a
I'm
bad
like
thing.
impressed that
Like
you know it, but of course I know
didn't
it
know
too.
what I didn't know.
And they decorate them.
Even as
What's
like
happening?
an educated
Yeah,
person,
what is
I didn't.
this?
It's
So it's very
hydrate.
interesting how that works. But
I need this to stop. I can't.
accepting that
And so
that girl inside of me was
I
trying
can't.
to calm my
And
anxiety, and learning
so
that
binge drinking is so
alcohol makes
damaging.
your body create crazy
And
levels
it's
of
damaging
cortisol,
because first of all,
which is the
you
stress
are
hormone.
ingesting a
And so that
neurotoxin,
doesn't
which is
happen
taking away
until
your ability
hours
to make
after
good
you've
decisions,
consumed
and it's taking
alcohol.
away your
And
inhibitions.
so alcohol is a
And
depressant.
so girls put
but
themselves in
your
these situations
brain's
where they,
always searching for
sometimes they'll
homeostasis.
wake
Like
up
your brain
places
wants
where they
to
didn't remember going to
rebalance.
sleep.
And alcohol
or
is
the
a
next morning
depressant.
they will have
Well, it's a
forgotten
depressant and a
several
stimulant.
hour period.
All the way around. It's not a
And
good thing.
these
Your brain
blackouts
responds and produces like
are
dynorphin,
harmful on
which is
many
this
levels.
chemical. It's like
But
actually a peptide
not
that
knowing
has
what you're
reactions in
doing
your
is a
body,
big
and then
deal.
and then cortisol is
And
produced later.
also
So
having
that's why, like,
girls
if you wake up at 3 in the
that
morning
their
after
brains
drinking,
are still
you have to
forming
go to the
through
bathroom,
the age
and
of
then
like
your
22,
mind
23.
just is an overdrive.
And so when
And
you
it's because your
introduce,
body's responding
ethanol,
to the
because that's what
depressant
alcohol
with the
is,
stimulant.
like we just add
Just
Right.
for that
sugar and
that
things to make it taste
wants
good,
the
but it's
balance.
ethanol,
And so
it's a neurotoxin.
So the
and
next
it's
day
carcinogen.
anxiety,
It's all bad
anxiety
things, right?
is real.
But it's sold to
Like
us
a
as something
hangover
that
with
is
anxiety is
good,
a real
and
thing.
it's what people
And
do.
I never
and
had
the
like
pressure is
debilitating
there.
hangovers
But,
because I didn't drink
it
enough
goes back
of
to
that.
what
So I
you
had when I
so
did drink,
sagely
I'd have,
said
like,
a little while ago.
micro
It's about curiosity.
right?
Yeah.
So it was like this
And it's
little
about being
was just
curious
enough
about
where I
when
was
you drink,
tired and where
how
I
you
just
felt when you
and it
drank.
would just
Like
amp my
I
anxiety
don't
up
tell
just
the
a
girls
little
to
bit,
stop.
but I didn't
I'm like, you do
understand
you, honey.
that it
Like,
was the
and I don't
alcohol
tell
that
anybody to
caused
stop
that.
drinking. Like, it's your life. You do
Yeah.
what you want.
So,
And
like you
just
said, the
because I haven't had
curiosity
alcohol
around
in
it,
2
the
years doesn't
awareness,
mean like
and
2 years down the road, if I'm in
approaching
Italy,
it
I'm not
with
going to
no
have a glass of
shame.
wine, right? Like, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
yeah.
don't even.
That's
I just wanted
really
to be
what it
free of
is.
thinking about it. And so
and
I don't think
this
about it,
is
and that's what I
how
like. But
my
so I tell the
listeners, if
girls,
they're listening and they're nodding
be
their
curious.
head, yeah,
Like,
I totally
before
relate to
you
all
drink,
of this.
think about how you
And
feel.
of course, this
After
is
your
a
first one, how are you feeling?
podcast for
After your
parents
second,
of teenagers,
however
but
many,
the
pay
thread
attention to the
does
people around you, how
interweave
they're acting,
between
and then the next
parental
day,
behavior and
I
teen
want to talk to you
behavior.
about how
So
you
if
feel.
teenagers are
And do
raised
you
in a
have
family where
regrets?
drinking
You know,
is
how
normalized,
does your body
and again,
feel
there's no
physically?
judgment. I'm
How
not
is this
saying that
affecting your
drinking is
study?
bad. You can't drink.
Because,
If you drink, you're
kids are
bad.
going to class
But what I'm
super
saying is
hungover
that
or not
to
going
be
at all,
aware of
and they're just
if you
like
are
they're
drinking, the
cognitively
impact
not
it's having
there
on
because their
you,
brains are
and then also the impact
processing
it's having on your
this
kids.
chemical, or this,
So to speak to
and it's
that,
just it's
with the clients
so
you
it
work
begins
with,
with curiosity. And,
does this come up?
And
Alcohol
as with
use,
all things with
I can
teenagers,
imagine it does, especially in
they gotta
college.
think it's their idea.
And tell me
Right?
a little
They have
bit
to
more
come to the
about
conclusion on their
how
own.
you
And
the
so I'm
conversations
more
run
of like
go with the
a
teen
guide.
girls that you work with.
And here's some
Yes,
information. Think
it
about
does
this.
come up.
What do you think
And
about
with
this?
college
And I like
drinking,
to
it's binge
break
drinking.
down the unconscious
And
beliefs.
it's not, they're not sitting around
for
at a wine
instance,
bar
like
having a
alcohol
glass of
tastes good.
Chardonnay. I mean,
Right,
they're
like we
carrying
go
those
back to,
stupid board
the first time you
things
tried it.
that-
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't.
They're like,
I
oh,
can't
Suzanne,
do
it was
that.
nasty.
I tell them,
And I'm like, well, I remember the first time I like sipped my dad's Coors Light, and I was like, oh my gosh, talking about her.
But I'm
And
like
so
impressed that
gross,
you
right?
know it. But of
So we
course I
talk
know
about
it
the
too.
taste, and then I tell them about
And they
my
decorate
great
them.
uncle
What is
Max,
happening?
who said
Yeah.
that
What
if
is
we
this?
drank for the
It's
taste,
hydrated
we'd all
to
be
stop.
drinking chocolate milkshakes. And so
I need this to stop.
yeah, and
I
so
can't.
and so we just kind of unpack the
And,
unconscious
so
beliefs.
So binge drinking
and
is
it's a
so
slow process,
damaging.
but
And
like I
it's
said
damaging
before, the
because
girls
first
have
of
such
all,
discernment,
you are
and
ingesting
they
a
want to be
neurotoxin,
healthy. And
which
I
is
have
taking
found,
away
too, that
your
this
ability to
generation
make good
is a
decisions,
lot more
and
health
it's taking
conscious,
away your
and
inhibitions.
they are a lot more
And so
conscious of
girls
girls
the
put themselves in
negative
these
effects of
situations
alcohol.
where they,
And I have girls reach out
sometimes
to me
they'll
that say,
wake
you know,
up
Suzanne, I
places
don't
where they
drink,
didn't
and
remember
thank you
going
for
to sleep,
talking about
and
how
or
it's
the
okay,
next morning
and
they
thank you
will have
for,
forgotten
celebrating
a
that you can have
period.
as much fun
And
or a
these
lot more fun
blackouts
by not drinking.
are
And so I'm really
harmful
proud of this
on many
generation.
levels,
Yeah.
but
Because I
not
don't even
knowing what
remember
you're
people in
doing
college
is
who
a big
didn't drink.
deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's so
they
sad, but
were
also
there, I
having
didn't hang
girls
out.
understand
I
that their
didn't.
brains are still forming through the age of like
I bet
22,
they were there
23.
having fun.
And so
I
when you
mean,
introduce,
yeah.
ethanol,
So
because that's what alcohol is,
all
like we
of
just
these
add
strategies that
sugar
you're
and
using
things to
with
make it
your
taste good, but it's
clients, these are
ethanol and it's a
direct
neurotoxin
strategies that
and it's a
I'm nodding my
carcinogen.
head
It's all
in
bad
agreement.
things, right?
Parents
But
can
it's
use
sold to
with
us as
their
something that
teen.
is
Yeah,
good
like
and
you
it's what
said,
people do and
it
the
needs to
pressure
be the
is there.
teenager's
But
idea
it goes back to
to
what
not
you
do it.
so
Whereas
sagely
if you
said
say
a little
you
while ago, it's
can't
about
drink,
curiosity.
if you do
And
this,
it's
you're
about
going to be in
being
big
curious
trouble.
about when you drink,
Teenagers are going to do what they're
how
going to
you
do.
felt
And
when you drank.
if they
Like I
know
don't
that
tell
they're
the
going to
girls
get
to
in
stop.
trouble, they're
I'm
just
like,
going to
you do
lie
you,
and
honey.
hide.
Like, and I don't They tell are. anybody to
You
stop
don't want
drinking.
that.
Like, it's your life.
And
You do what you
so
want.
to be able
And
to
just
take the
because I
coach
haven't had
approach,
alcohol in 2
TM,
years
I
doesn't
just
mean
created
like
this.
2 years down the road, if I'm in Italy, I'm not gonna have a glass of wine,
Hey,
right? Like
listen,
I'm not.
you're going to
You know
make
what I'm saying?
these
Like I
decisions.
don't even. I just
Being
wanted
able
to
to
be free
walk
of
them
thinking
through
about
the
it.
awareness.
And so I don't think
Some
about it, and that's what I
teenagers
like.
may be willing to
But
do that with their
so I tell
parents,
the girls,
some may not, which is why
be
it's so great
curious.
to have
Like
an outsider,
before
a
you
trusted
drink,
adult
think about how
that
you
they
feel.
can process these things with.
After your first one, how are you feeling?
So
After your
incredibly
second,
amazing.
however
And to
many,
be able to do that
pay
with
attention to
something
the
that
people
has
around
such
you, how they're acting, and
strong
then the
assumptions
next day,
associated with
I
it
want to
and
talk to you about how
judgments
you
like
feel.
alcohol
And
going to
do
a
you
party,
have
and if you're not
regret?
drinking, then what does that
Do you,
mean
how
about
does your
you and the
body feel
discomfort?
physically?
And being able
How
to
is this affecting your
plan in
studies?
advance and
Because
talk about how to
kids are
handle
going
the
to class
discomfort of
super
being the only
hungover,
person at the party
or
who's
not
not
going at all,
drinking,
and
how
they're
to
just
handle what
like
people
they're
ask you,
cognitively
why
not
you're not
there because
drinking.
their brains
And
are
this to adults
processing
and the teens,
this chemical. Yes, It's this just, crosses the
and
lines.
it's
Yeah,
just
this is
really
all the
good.
humans. So it
Yeah,
begins with
and just
curiosity.
like what you said when you were talking about how you
and
made the
as
decision
with
to
all
stop
things with
drinking,
teenagers,
then
they
you
gotta
became somebody
they
to
gotta
help
think it's
walk
their idea,
people through that as
right?
well.
They have to come to
And
the
it's the
conclusion
same
on
thing
their
you're
own.
doing with the girls
And
that you
so
work
I'm
with.
more of like a
To be
guide.
able to support someone through
And
something,
here's some information.
you need
Think
to
about
know
this.
and be able
What
to
do you think about
empathize
this?
and understand.
And I like
potentially
to
have gone
break
through it
down
yourself.
the unconscious beliefs.
And so whether
Um,
parents have done that or
For
not,
instance, like
it
alcohol
all really
tastes
does
good,
come down to the
right? Like
empathy,
we go
the
back to
understanding, the
the first time you tried it,
curiosity.
how did it taste?
And
They're
that's
like,
where
oh,
the
Suzanne, it was
connection
nasty.
is with
You know,
all
I'm
that.
like, well, I remember the first time I
Certainly.
sipped my dad's Coors
And
Light,
you know,
I was
you
like, oh my
can't
God, it's like
and,
liquor.
willpower
And
doesn't
so
work.
gross, right?
Willpower
So we
can
talk
work,
about
but it
the
runs
taste,
out.
and then I tell them about my
and our
great
behavior
uncle
is
Max,
driven by our
who said
emotions.
that if
And
we drank for
so,
the taste,
you know,
we'd all be
positive
drinking chocolate
behavior
milkshakes.
change is possible,
And
and
so
you change your emotions
yeah,
behind
and
it.
so
And so that works,
so
you know, like
we
I was saying,
just
for
kind
all the
of
humans, for the,
you know,
the
unpack
teenagers and their
unconscious beliefs.
parents. And so
And
I think
it's a slow
healthy
process,
conversations
but
about alcohol are
like I
essential.
said before, the girls have such
And,
discernment.
and, you know, and
And they
it's
want to be
difficult for me
healthy.
to,
And I have
to
found
have
too that this
conversations with people
generation
when they're like,
is
oh,
a lot more health
you know,
conscious,
my
and
house is the
they are a
place where
lot more
kids can
conscious
drink
of the
because
negative
at least
effects
I
of
know they're
alcohol.
safe.
And I have
And they'll
girls
ask
reach
me
out
what
to
I
me
think
say,
about
you know,
that, and
Suzanne,
I'm like,
I don't drink.
what do you
And
want
thank
to
you
know the
for
truth?
talking about
Because
how it's
you know,
okay. And
I
thank you
mean,
for, you know,
because
celebrating
kids,
that
you know,
you can have
are you
as
trying
much
to be
fun or a lot
cool?
more fun
Because
by
the
not
kids are only at your house
Yeah.
because
I'm
that's where
really
they know
proud
they
of
can
this
drink,
generation.
right?
And
And they're gonna laugh and be nicer
remember
to you
people in
because you're
college who
letting them
didn't
do what they want to do.
I mean,
And
it's sad about it.
and that's
there,
just
I didn't hang out
that's
with
in my opinion that's not healthy for the kids. And it's
I bet
it's
they were there
illegal
having fun.
and it's dangerous. And
yeah.
so, but then
So,
also the other side is,
all of
you know,
these
some parents
strategies
are like,
that
well,
you're
you know,
using
Suzanne, I know
with
my,
your
my
clients,
daughter's drinking,
these are
and
direct
she lies
strategies
and goes
that
and finds
I am
ways to
nodding
do
my
it.
head in
And
agreement.
like you said,
Parents
that's
can
what
use
kids
with
do.
their
That's what teenagers
teen.
do, and that's why they're
'Cause like
such
you said,
frustrating little creatures,
it
right?
needs to be
And
the
that's why
teenager's
that's why parents
idea
call us
to
because
not do it.
and that's why we
Whereas if you
because
say you
it having
can't
like you
drink,
said the
if
neutral
you
third
do
party
this, you're going to be
that
in
can
big
be
trouble.
honest and say, okay,
Teenagers
I'm not,
are going to
our
do what they're
conversation
going
is
to
not
do.
something I'm going to talk to your parents
if
about. Like this is
they
between
know
us.
that they're going to
But
get in
this is what
trouble,
you
they're
need to
just
know,
going to
sweet girl.
lie and
Like
hide.
this is the truth.
They are.
And it's up
want
to
that.
you.
And so
girls
to be able to
especially
take
love
the coach
to feel
approach,
empowered.
TM, I
They
just
love to
created
feel
this.
that they own their
And
decisions.
let them
And they
know,
do.
hey, listen,
And as
you're
a
going to
parent,
make
it's hard
these
to let go and let
decisions.
them do that.
Being
But
able to
us-
walk
we
them
as
through the
coaches can
awareness.
say, you know,
Some
this is
teenagers
your
may be willing to do that
This
with
is
their
your
parents, some
responsibility.
may not,
And
which is
responsibility
why
is
it's
a
so great
beautiful,
to have an
freeing
outsider,
thing.
a trusted
Yeah.
adult
You're able
that
to
they
do
can
this.
process
You're
these
able
things
to
with.
make this yours.
It's so
And, yeah.
incredibly amazing. And to be able to do that with something that has such
a great way of
strong
putting it.
assumptions
And it really does come
associated
down
with it
to
and judgments
sending
like
the message
alcohol
that
and going to a
ultimately
party, and
you
if you're
are
not
the one in
drinking, then what does
charge
that mean about
of what
you
you
and the
decide to
discomfort
do and what you
and being
decide
able
not
to
to do in
plan in
anything.
advance
Right.
and talk about
And
how to that's
handle
what
the
these
discomfort of
conversations
being
are
the
all
only
about.
person
Yeah.
at the party who's not
Sense that
drinking,
you and I could probably
how to
talk
handle
for
what people
hours
ask you
on
Yes.
when you're not drinking. And
Yes.
this is to adults
Absolutely.
and the
and,
teens, you know?
but we've
Yes,
touched
this
on some
crosses
really
the lines.
important
Yeah,
things
this
here.
is all the
Really does.
humans.
I am so
Uh-huh.
glad
Yeah,
that you
and just
came
like
on
what
and
you
shared
said
your
when you were
story and
talking
that
about how
your
you made the
strategies
decision
that
to
you
stop drinking,
use with the
then you
girls.
became
And
somebody to help walk
of course, I'm
people
going to put the
through
links
that
to
as well.
everything so
And it's
people
the
can know
same
how to
thing you're
find
doing
you
with the girls that
and
you
reach
work
you
with.
in the
To be
show
able
notes
to
and
support
everything.
someone through
But
something, you need
if
to know
someone is
and be
hearing
able to
this and thinking,
empathize and
I really would
understand
like to
and
work
potentially
with her,
have gone through
tell
it
me how
yourself.
you work with people.
And so
and just
whether
give a little
parents have done
overview
that or
of
not,
what that might look like.
it all really does come down to the
I work
empathy,
with
the
teenage and
understanding,
college
the
girls, so ages
curiosity.
like 13
And
to
that's where the
23.
connection is
And
with all
I
of
offer coaching packages where we
Certainly.
have one-on-one sessions
And you know,
via
you can't-
Zoom.
and,
And then I also have
willpower doesn't
communications
work.
with the girls
Willpower
between
can work,
sessions.
but it runs out.
And the three pillars
and
of
our
my
behavior
business
is
are
driven by our emotions.
self-compassion
And
and
so,
self-reliance
you know,
and self-confidence.
positive behavior
So behavior
those are the
change is
3 pillars we
possible
work on,
when you change your
and, we
emotions
begin with
behind it.
self-compassion,
And so
because that's
that
the
works,
place,
like I
where
said,
we
for
have
all
to,
humans, for
we all have
the
to come to
teenagers and their
terms with
parents. And so,
we
and I
are who
think
we are, and we're
healthy
gonna love who we
conversations
are, and we're
about
gonna accept.
alcohol are
And
essential.
then,
And
self-reliance is the next step,
and
because
it's
I
difficult for
love
me
when
to
girls
have
realize they have their
conversations
own
with
backs.
people when they're like, oh,
And that's part of my passion of doing
place
this,
where
'cause like I
kids
said,
can
it took
drink
me
40 some
because
years to
at
figure it
least I
out.
know
So I'm
they're
like,
safe.
I want you to learn
And they'll
in your
ask me what I
teens,
think
because
about that,
can
and
you
I'm like,
imagine
"Well,
knowing
do you
that
want
at their
to know the
age? It's so
truth?"
exciting.
Because,
And then,
I mean,
self-confidence is the
because
third
kids,
pillar, and that's something we'll work on,
are
I
you
think, until we
trying to
die.
be cool?
But it's,
Because
it's
the
important
kids
to
are only
talk
at your
about
house
it. But
because that's
yes,
where
so
they
offer
know they can
those
drink.
packages. And
Right.
I also have
And they're
some group
gonna
coaching
laugh and be
with
nicer
college
to you
girls,
because you're letting them do what
and
they wanna do.
that's fun. Yeah.
Mm, great. Well,
And that's just,
fantastic. Well,
that's,
thank you
in
for
my
coming
opinion,
on.
that's
Thank
not
you for
healthy for the
sharing your
kids.
story. Thank you
And
for
it's,
sharing your tools and
it's
strategies.
illegal.
This has been a
And
really
it's
great
dangerous.
conversation,
And
and I
so,
really
but then
appreciate you taking
also
the
the
time to
other
be
side
here.
is,
I've
some
loved it.
parents
Thank
are
you,
like,
Jennifer.
Suzanne, I know my daughter's drinking and she lies and goes and finds ways to do it. And like you said, that's what kids do. That's what teenagers do. And that's why they're such frustrating little creatures, right? And that's why parents call us, because and that's why we because it having, like you said, the neutral third party
Yeah.
that can be honest and say,
Mhm.
okay, our conversation is not something I'm going to talk to your parents about. Like, this is between us, but this is what you need to know, sweet girl. Like, this is the truth, and it's up to you. And girls especially love to feel empowered and love to feel that they own their decisions, and
Yep.
they do.
Mhm.
And as a parent, it's hard to let go and let them do that. But
Mhm.
as coaches can say, this is your decision. This is your responsibility. And
Yeah.
responsibility is a beautiful, freeing thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're able to do this. You're able to make this yours.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's such a great way of putting it. And it really does come down to sending the message that ultimately you are the one in charge of what you decide to do and what you decide not to do in anything.
right.
And that's what these conversations are all about. And I sense that you and I could probably talk for hours on
Yes.
all of these topics.
Absolutely.
And but we've touched on some really important things here, and I am so glad that you came on and shared your story and that your strategies that you use with the girls. And of course, I'm going to put the links to everything so people can know how to find you and reach you in the show notes and everything. But if someone is hearing this and thinking, I really would like to work with her, tell me how you work with people and just give a little overview of that, what that might look like.
Okay. I work with teenage and college girls, so ages like 13 to 23. And I offer coaching packages where we have one-on-one sessions via Zoom. And then I also have communications with the girls between sessions. And the 3 pillars of my business are self-compassion, self-reliance, and self-confidence. So those are the 3 pillars we work on. And we begin with self-compassion, because that's the place, where we all have to come to terms with, we are who we are, and we're going to love who we are, and we're going to accept. And then self-reliance is the next step, because I love when girls realize they have their own backs.
Mhm.
And that's part of my passion of doing this, because like I said, it took me 40 some years to figure it out. So I'm like, I want you to learn in your teens, because can you
Right.
imagine knowing that at their age? It's so exciting.
Mhm.
And then, self-confidence is the third pillar, and that's something we'll work on, I think, until we die. But
Yep.
it's important to talk about it. But yes, so I'll offer those packages. And I also have some group coaching with college girls, and that's fun. Yeah.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your tools and strategies. This has been a really great conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here.
I've loved it. Thank you, Jennifer.
If you liked this episode, I'd like to invite you to join Raising Happy Teens, my free online community for parents of teenagers, where every week I host Ask a Coach. You bring your parenting questions, and I provide expert advice and coaching. Click the link in the show notes to join today. I'll see you inside.